Hello from National Geographic Education. My name is Kip Hotman, and this is Explorer Classroom. At National Geographic, we use the power of science, exploration, education, and storytelling to illuminate and protect the wonder of our world. Explorer Classroom connects students worldwide with our National Geographic Explorers for short lessons and time for your questions. This school year, each month will be organized around a specific theme. This November, Explorer Classroom will be exploring history and what the past can tell us about our present or even the future. This week is extra special because tomorrow, November 4th, marks the 100th anniversary of the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. From the opening of the tomb in 1922 to the current day, National Geographic has been part of telling the story of King Tut for a century. Today, our explorer is Nora Shawki. Nora is an Egyptian archaeologist whose work focuses on the lives and culture of non-elite ancient Egyptians. Today, she's going to help us learn more about protecting what matters, uncovering history, and how everyone can dig in and learn. Before we get into today's lesson, I'd like to welcome our registered viewers who join us from around the globe. Special shout outs for today go to Riverdale Heights Elementary School, Cheney Elementary School, Salisbury Central School, Don Valley Middle School, Holy Cross Lutheran School, Higgins Middle School, and all of our home schools out there. We are thrilled to have you all here. And with that, let's get this Explorer Classroom started. It's time to turn it over to Nora to share all about Egyptian history and culture. Take it away, Nora.
Hi, guys. Thank you, Kip, for the introduction. I am going to basically introduce myself, tell you guys a little bit about archaeology, Egypt, give you also a behind-the-scenes view of dig life and what an excavation really looks like. I know pretty much the questions more or less you guys have, because I had them when I was your age, so I totally know what to focus on. So I'm just going to share my screen with you guys right now. Give me a second. Okay, can everyone see? Great. Okay, so a glimpse into the past. Basically, my name is Nora. I'm an Egyptian archaeologist, as Kip introduced me. I dig, essentially. So what does that mean? So I'm an archaeologist in Egypt. I'm wondering, what do you guys think of when I say ancient Egypt? You think of pyramids, King Tut, gold, mummies, all of these things, right? And that is what ancient Egypt is overall. These are really major focal points of what we focus on. And if you come to Egypt even today, you're going to see these things normally in the street. Here, this image behind me is one of the pyramids of Giza. So these are, one of the most famous wonders of the world, still standing. And literally, we drive by these sites on our way to work, on our way to school. It's a part of our daily life. So it's super cool to be living in a country like this that's so historically rich. But there's another side of it. So King Tut, for sure, one of our most major discoveries. This is also a really super exciting time, as Kip said. We do have the 100th year anniversary of the discovery of King Tut's tomb. But why is this important to someone like me? I actually decided that I wanted to become an archaeologist because of this discovery. Crazy, huh? I was actually, for the third graders out here, I was your age and I was in third grade when I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I remember in school, they taught us a little bit about Egyptian history. And of course, the main thing they showed us was a reenactment of the discovery of King Tut's tomb. And this is one of, the most famous images from that tomb. It was packed with all gold and great royal riches, that anything you can imagine of, it was there. So I thought, I have to do this. This is the feeling I want to get. So I made it happen. It was literally a dream into reality. But what I focus on is a little different. So I like to focus on settlements. So this is basically people like me and you, not just the royals. I focus on the daily lives of people like us, the average ancient Egyptian. So my main area that I focus on, you can see here, there's a map of Egypt. So see up north, there's a little fan-shaped green area. This is called the Delta. And that's the green agricultural area. That's where, we still have farmers who farm there. It's all, this is a hotspot and really a high population rate in Egypt. You can see how large, you can see the yellow border. This country is huge. And all along the middle, we follow the Nile River. So we're living all around the water source, the main water source. So you'll find all of the main cities there. And really at the top, the bottom part of that fan shape at the top, that's Cairo. That's where I'm from. And that's where I'm speaking to you guys from today. So that's where I live. That's my home. And for digging wise, we dig everywhere in Egypt. But my main focus is up north, and I'll tell you why. This is Delta archaeology. See all those little spots all around? These are all sites. These are all modern and ancient sites. And most of the modern sites are on top of ancient sites. So this is why it's super important to be excavating in these areas, because it won't be there in the next 20 to 30 years. So this is super important for us to excavate, because we're going to lose all of this history really quickly. So all the greenery, as I said, it's all farming land. But the area that we're digging in are very, very tiny spots that are available for us to dig in, because people are living there, modern people, of course. And also, we have farmland that covers the ancient sites. But this is super important. We have multiple sites that are still undiscovered till today. People think in Egypt, you see it in the news, I'm sure, all the time, or read it in your books in class, that we have so much history. You would think we found everything already. Of course, we didn't. We're not even close. I mean, the statistics are saying we barely scratched the surface. We're less than, like 2% that's been discovered, and the rest is still beneath the surface. So there's a lot of potential. So basically, I wanted to show you guys what a day in the life of an archaeologist is. So this is what it looks like on site. So here, the image on the top is, usually we wake up at 4:30, 5 in the morning. We're up when the sun is up. This is when we have to start digging, because it gets super, super hot. Later in the day, it looks like the lower image. Imagine the sun really directly on your head for 8-9 hours straight when you're digging in the hot sand. And also in the Delta, it's a mix between the sand and a wet environment at the same time because of all the agriculture. So it's a very difficult environment to be digging in. You can think of it kind of like your backyards, if anyone has a backyard, or kind of like when you're in the forest. You have a lot of different environmental elements that affect the way you're digging. It's not perfect with a fan and an AC and things like that. It's very difficult, kind of similar to camping. This is what I look like on the field. We're, dressed kind of with active wear, something we're comfortable in, because you have to be super outdoorsy, and to also be safe so you don't get cut or bitten by there's a lot of mosquitoes, a lot in the Delta. They come next to anything that has to do with a water source. And you have to have a lot of equipment. You bring everything with you, because you'll be stuck if you don't bring everything there. So we have things from, the tiny little brushes that you see even in the movies. That's real. We all have our kits. We have our little shovels, tape measures. We measure everything. Where it's painstaking work digging, but we have to do it very meticulously, because the whole point is to document everything correctly, or we're not any better than the people who loot the site, which I'll explain as well. So this is basically on the site as well, which you see, there's a lot of science that goes into it. So a lot of technology that we use. So besides just computers and iPads and iPhones that are actually really important on the site today, things have changed in the last 100 years. We also, like the equipment you can see here, I'm using geophysical surveying equipment that's called a magnetometer. So basically the one down there where I'm standing on the ladder, That's me calibrating this machine. So we're able to use it on the ground. So you don't just dig anywhere. We have to know where the area we're digging in. So before we actually hit the surface, we use this equipment so we can look beneath the surface. So it's basically, if you want to think of it, like a big X-ray on the ground. So this is going to show you, an outline. If anyone's seen a medical X-ray, it's kind of similar. But you see the outline of a building or a temple, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to find. And then when that confirms it with that data, you're able to excavate and then dig out whatever is beneath the surface to confirm what you just saw. So this helps us a lot. Technology is really important in speeding up the process when we're excavating. And on the right, I just wanted to show you, we have a lot of tea. Tea is a big thing in Egypt with a lot of sugar. This is a part of the culture here. So this is kind of like pick me up. It's also like our version of coffee. We have it nonstop all day. So this is going to keep you going during the day. And here I have also my dig journal on the ground. Super important. Like the number one thing I would say is to have your dig journal, because you write every single detail. I mean, till today, we go off of Howard Carter's dig journal, who discovered King Tut's tomb, till now. That's 100 years later. And we read the same details that he wrote to help us understand what was happening that day. So it's so important to always document everything you're doing. This is me also in a tunnel, tomb shaft, in one of the tombs I dig in. This one's actually in Sudan. So Sudan has Egyptian material because we used to rule that land once upon a time. So these modern borders of countries that we have today didn't exist in the same way back then. So we had a big chunk of another country, our bordering country, Sudan. So I also excavate Egyptian material there. So that's older, that's New Kingdom, which is Tut's time period. So this is super cool because you find a lot of deep, meters down tunnel shafts to get into these tombs. And these are all the burials. These are burials from settlements. So this is what I focus on, as I said. That's not royals. You'll find tombs that are for people like us, but a bit elite who could afford a burial at this size. Because at the end of the day, the afterlife was the most important for the ancient Egyptians. So it would all be about how you were buried, what you would bring with you. So all these burials that I excavate, we also look at what people brought with them, what kind of amulets, if they brought certain types of food or figurines of things that were important to them. These things are what you would bring. So nowadays, if it was us, it's like bringing your favorite toy or your favorite, technology accessory or whatever, you would bring it with you because you would want it to come with you to the afterlife. That was their thinking, their religious thinking. This shows like how kind of messy and dirty it can be out in the fields. It's a really messy job. You're not clean cut all the time or anything. You go for a few days without proper showers, and that's being nice. I mean, maybe a few months. No hot water. It's kind of tough living. You get a lot of like sunburns, really weird ones with the shirts you're wearing for sure. It's kind of a messy, rugged lifestyle, super dirty and in the dust and everything, but it's super rewarding at the end. In Egypt, especially in these villages, we eat the way they eat, of course, the community that lives around these sites. So basically, this is what a lunch would look like. You'd have like a feast of all these little plates, and they would put it usually on the floor, and you would eat on the floor. Everyone would sit cross-legged all together, kind of like a buffet type meal, and everyone would sit together and you'd eat mostly with your hands. And this is the culture and the custom in these areas in Egypt. So it's super interesting to be able to see another culture in modern Egypt as well. Every city is very different, and even the language and the accent of Arabic that we have changes in every city that you go to pretty much, so you can tell where everyone's from in the country. This is what breakfast would look like. This is beans are one of our staple meals, and beans give you energy throughout the whole day. So it's a great thing to have for sustenance. And also on the right, those fried balls, those are a mix of like beans and chickpeas and things that we deep fry. For anyone who likes fried food, not the healthiest, but super tasty. You guys would definitely love it. And a lot of oven baked bread. It's a main thing, homemade bread. We have that everywhere in these villages. They have the bread ovens in their houses. So this is the type of, breakfast that you would have, and it would keep you going for a couple hours while you're digging and give you the energy to be able to work. So some of the things that I find when I'm excavating are skeletons, of course. Even if you're not focusing on a burial site, you'd always find there are spiritual burials that happen, or even if you're in an area of conflict, if there was, a trauma or a war in an area, you'll find burials, even if they're not meant to be there. So on the left is one of our shovels that we use to scoop up all of the sand, because of course, we're in mounds and mounds of sand, and we need to do this as quick as we can, but as carefully as possible. And on the right, you will see these are actual teeth. These are 3,000 years old minimum. This is a jaw I found off of a skeleton. The interesting thing is, thousands of years later, teeth actually survive the most. They're the strongest thing. The teeth in your mouth right now are going to last for thousands of years, literally. And that's the main indicator that helps us be able to tell how old the person was. And, if they were male or female, the jaw shape, it helps us be able to identify, tell us more about the person. Because of course, when we find burials, we don't find a perfect burial with the name of the person, their age and everything, what happened. We don't get the full story. So we have to piece them together. This, what do you guys think this could be? This is one of the sites I have in the Delta. For some people, what you might think it looks like base of a house or a pyramid or something like this. It's actually a base foundation of a temple. This is an ancient Egyptian temple made from limestone. This is super important that you find this in the Delta up north. It's towards the end of the Pharaonic Empire. So at the very end, it's called the late period. This is my area of focus. So what happened towards the end of the Pharaonic Empire. So a lot of the things we'll find aren't perfect. You won't just find a perfectly set pyramid and dig it up. We end up finding things as they were destroyed over time, naturally. So this is the foundation of the temple. So we have to imagine what it actually looked like. These things weren't just plain and white, or I'm sure you guys have seen temples in Luxor and Aswan, and they're not painted or anything. Actually, at the time, these things were covered in paint. They were so colorful, because if you think about it, back then we didn't have all the modern buildings we have today. The landscape was just sand, very monotone. And then these structures, the ancient Egyptians would build them and paint them so they can stand out, and the colors would bring them to life. So this tells its own story. So it's hard for us also to find colors still remaining. This is so exciting for us as archaeologists to ever find color, because ancient Egyptian pigment has, survived thousands of years. So it's super impressive. But in areas like the Delta, it's a bit hard, because I said there was a lot of water in the area. So that, of course, can remove the color, but we can still imagine what it would have looked like. Now, on the left, do you guys see that little blue circle? How big do you guys think it is? It actually is this small. If you can see my fingers, it is tiny. It's the size of a coin, and weighs half the size of a American quarter. It is a coin that we found, and the picture where it's blue, this is what it looks like right when we find it. You don't think it's anything. It could look like trash. You don't have no idea what it is. But after we do conservation, and we have scientists who specialize in removing, treating metals, we're able to see what they look like on the right. So these were actually Roman emperors that were in Egypt at this Egyptian fortress that we had. So it's cool to see, a merge of different cultures and countries, that other people came here at some point and, they left their mark. So you have coins. This one was Maximus II that I found in my last excavation where I was working on a fortress, a military fortress. So, you know, it's the ancient army. You think you'll find, you know, equipment for a war, and you find a lot of bodies, of course. And the coins help us show what time we're at, you know, what time in history, because we can't date things just by looking at the stone. These things help us collectively. Now, these are pottery sherds. So pottery is important in Egypt because it's not just, you know, ancient cups and plates and things that we use on our daily lives. That was used for them, but it's important for us as archaeologists because every dynasty in Egypt, so they're split up into dynasties of the time period. So kings from the first dynasty, second, and so on, up into the 30s, which is where I focus on. So every dynasty had a different artistic style. So we're able to tell, again, what time period we're looking at by the actual pottery. So for them, this was just, you know, their old cups and old plates that they would eat in every day, but it helps us a lot because we're able to know where we are in time. So you'll find these all everywhere in Egypt. If any of you guys end up coming, or if you've come before, I'm sure you've seen, you'll find sherds everywhere. They're all broken up because, you know, we're living here, but you're lucky if you find things that are intact and not broken. Super valuable, really cool. You'll see them in a lot of museums for sure. This is an example of finding something with hieroglyphs, which is so cool to find. We wish we could find them every day because it tells us a story. But this one is a wooden coffin lid. So someone was buried in this, and this was a part just of the lid. So wood doesn't survive all the time unless it's a super dry environment. So this one thankfully did. And you'll also find, you know, we have termites in today's world that eat the wood. We also have them back then. So termites were always an enemy with wood. And a lot of the material was wood in these tombs. So you'll find things eaten up, or some of the paint is gone. I mean, you could see faint reddish paint here to show the skin of the pharaoh. So this is really cool. And then you have some hieroglyphs that aren't complete, but it gives us a little bit of a picture into what it would look like. This is a skeleton, a head. So you'll find a lot of bones. So we have to be super sensitive and ethical when we're excavating, because these people were real humans like us that lived thousands of years ago. So we still have to find that connection, you know, they were like us at some point. So what I try to do is try to understand their story. Where did they come from? Where did this person, you know, what was he doing? So this was actually a lady. She was in her 20s, and we found her in a looter's shaft of a tomb, so of a burial. So in these burials, you'd find ancient looters, people who would excavate and steal these things because they wanted to steal the goods, the gold and all the valuable things, because they were valuable, but then they would leave the bodies. So one of these bodies was just in the shaft, thrown, discarded, and we found them when we came in, when it's our turn another 1,000 years later to excavate. So you find out what happened to these people, and you can tell by the way you find the skeleton. If the skeleton, like this one, we found the skull alone and the body way down in the chamber. So clearly they were ravaged apart, this tomb, you know, just to find their main goal, which is all the gold, of course. But as you can see, still has the teeth, you can still see the jaw, you know, things are very intact. This is what it looks like to dig in more of a shallow shaft here. I have my workmen here with me. You can see the plastic bags. We have every single detail put in each separate bag and marking them up, you know, everything's super meticulous. This is with one of my colleagues inside the tombs. You know, we have to have flashlights and everything. Things are, you know, hard to excavate in for sure. This is in Sudan. There's a sandstorm in the distance. It is like the movies sometimes. You can't control the environment. We have things that just happen out of nowhere. This sandstorm affected me and my workers, and the tomb collapsed on us while we were excavating. So this is like a crazy thing that can happen. It's dangerous, but thankfully no one got injured. If everyone can see the video, this is it just starting. Here's just a glimpse of some of my team. I'm very proud to have an all Egyptian workforce in one of my dig sites, super cool. And I was the field director of one part of the site as a woman, so it was super cool. And you have Egyptians who look different from all kinds of social classes in Egypt. You could see some dressed with the turban and the big galabeya, which is a dress that men wear. Actually, it's actually very nice to wear in the heat. It helps keep you cool. These are some more of my workmen. You end up having a team of people that really help you excavate all the time to speed up the process, super hands-on. This is also one of our, it's called the Rayas. He's the head of the workmen. You see with a beautiful smile, they're always happy, positive, and keeping everything moving and keeping it under control. Here's some more of the workmen. This is traditional dress in certain areas in Egypt. Yeah, as I said, the men, it's very normal to be wearing this, much more comfortable as well. And here's more of the team here repping the Nat Geo flag, of course. These are a lot of National Geographic funded expeditions. This is also what I do at National Geographic. We also storytell. So these are some of my colleagues. The work that we do on site in the desert, we also have to communicate the work to other people. And why do we do that? Because if we don't, we're going to lose these sites. This is the excavation site where I work at. In the middle, as you can see, that's a football field. That's an actual soccer field that was built on the site where there's ancient remains, and this was built a couple of years ago. So we can't stop modern building and encroachment because people are living here, but we can slow it down at least, and we can educate people. So the most important tool to do that is to spread the word. You just talk about it and tell them why it's important. Here's another view of the field. It's literally on top, unfortunately, of a Roman temple. So we lose a lot of information. We also have to be respectful of the modern world. We have also a modern mosque. This is a mosque for Islam, which is one of the religions in Egypt. Here's just to give you an idea of, the archaeological sites here, and the agriculture is right there. They're glued together, literally, where people are farming for the food to eat today and the ancient site. So it's a race against time for archaeologists to be able to excavate quickly. And parts of these sites are unfortunately used as a trash dump from these villages. So it's important to be able to do the storytelling, to give your side of the story. This is me actually at your age for the third graders here. I was 9 here in the desert. So, start your passion, your dreams, there's no age where it's too early or too late or whatever. So definitely I encourage everyone to follow their passion. And one of my idols, Nat Geo, had said, archaeology holds all the keys to understanding who we are and where we come from. So this helps us, people who know their past can know their future as well. It helps you live a better future. And my main motto that I always say is protect the things you care about. So what you can do is always spread the word, ask more, be curious, go visit museums, ask them where they got these artifacts from, ask the real story, and you're able to explore anywhere. Exploring can be done anywhere. You don't have to go to the Amazon or somewhere exotic. You can explore in your own backyard, your own communities, in your cities, towns, ask around, You can always do a bit of detective work, basically, and piece the puzzle together. Most importantly, protect the things you care about and definitely follow your passion. Whatever your sparks your curiosity, go for it. Thank you.
Friends, this has been such a wonderful experience. Thank you again, Nora, for taking the time out of your busy expedition schedule to be with us today. And a big thank you and shout out to all the students and teachers watching. If you are interested in digging up more knowledge about ancient Egypt, be sure to check out our resource library collection, which we are sharing right now in our chat. Or go hands-on with a field trip and visit the Beyond King Tut, which is an immersive experience that will transport your students to the world of the boy king. Yes, on his quest for immortality. Find a touring exhibition in a city near you. And finally, don't miss a special Explorer Classroom next Wednesday, November 9th, featuring National Geographic's archaeologist in residence, Fred Hebert, who will be joining us live from Alexandria, Egypt. We hope you join this and many more of our events. Back to our regular schedule, next Thursday, November 10th, we'll be joined by explorer and technical diver Lisa Briggs to learn how she examines ancient shipwrecks in the Mediterranean Sea. How cool is that? That is amazing. Register for these events and more at natgeoed.org/Explorer Classroom. You can request a chance to be featured on screen. And fellow teachers, we've also created a new interactive guide for you to share with your students to take them on a learning journey with each of our special guests. Find the Explorer Mindset and Action Guide and Teacher Edition linked on each event registration page or in the YouTube chat box. Have a great day, everyone. Stay curious and keep exploring. Bye.
Bye.